This is Gee Cee Gamer, and you're looking at episode 3 of Football Manager 2016 Up the Pompey. So, we've had our pre-season. We are ready for Sky Bet League 2 and our run to promotion. We are going to rise from the ashes. I'm determined to make this work. Come on, Pompey, let's go. As you can see from our fixtures here, we had a decent pre-season. Portsmouth under 21s were our first victims. That was the second day I was in charge, so it was pretty useful to have a look at our squad. You can see the team that played here is basically the team that we were talking about in the last episode where you got to meet the team, and all of those players had good performances. But in particular, I was surprised with Matt Tubbs. Matt Tubbs scored 2 goals in the first half and really did prove that he could be the starting striker for the team. But before I move on to more of our friendlies, I don't want to ruin too many surprises, because really, if you look at our transfers, there's a surprise in there. And I'm going to get straight to it. So, if we look at our transfers for the season, transfer history, you'll see Alessandro Del Piero signed on a free transfer for Portsmouth. Del Piero is at Portsmouth. That's not a joke. This is serious. Look, Del Piero is at Portsmouth. Now, he's only on a year-long contract. He's on a pretty big wage, 4k per week, but it was the only way I could convince him to come. He also has lots of bonuses, as we'll have a quick look at. So, appearance fee of 2,000, loyalty bonus of 32, goal bonus 1,600, and once he reaches 25 games, he goes up to 4,600 a week. I did think this was worth it though. As I mentioned in the last episode, we need more strikers in this team, and this guy is an absolute excellent striker. If we look at the coach's report, he is way better than Jaden Stockley and Matt Tubbs. Decent player for Sky Bet Championship sides. I cannot believe we have him. He's a natural leader, which is one of the reasons why I had to make the decision earlier on this season to give him the vice captaincy of the team. Leadership of 20, it was a pretty easy thing to do. I didn't want to put him as captain because Michael Doyle is the captain. He's been at the club, and I think that changing that much would have been too far. But putting Del Piero as vice captain should help our season. So, he is slow. He is not the best at any of the physical attributes. But if you look at his mental stats and his technical stats, he is unbelievable. So he has played preseason games, and he's still getting used to being at the club. Only 6.50. 2 starts, 1 sub appearance, and he hasn't made a huge impact. However, there is hope for him yet. Del Piero is going to sell shirts by himself. Hopefully that will increase our revenue. And yeah, let's have a look at the rest of the transfers. My first transfer was another loanee, again from Ipswich, which is Alex Henschel. So, as I mentioned, I wanted to get rid of a few of our wingers, and I thought, if I'm going to try and get rid of some of these players, I may as well get in a replacement. So, Alex Henschel comes in on a loan, and the best part about this loan is that we pay 0. Literally, we're not paying anything. Ipswich pay his wages, we don't pay a monthly fee. So it's a win-win for everybody involved. He does have a squad status as first team, and he will be a bit of a rotation player. So I've been a bit naughty there, said he'll be a first team player, but really he'll be more of a rotation player. So he'll come in for Kyle Bennett on the left wing quite often, and hopefully he'll get some game time. If you have a quick look at how he's performed so far, he's got 4 sub appearances and he has scored a goal. So not bad for our first signing. I also got another loan player. As you can see, most of these are loans. Nico Yanaris. One of the big problems we looked at last episode was our need for a right back, and Yanaris is that right back that we need. So let's have a look at his coach report. He is by far better than Ben Davis. 3.5-star current ability. Good player for most League One sides. That's perfect for us. Again, if we look at his contract info, 0 per month. Brentford pay his wages. Win-win situation. I did put him as a key player because there was other teams interested in securing his status as a loan player, but luckily he chose Portsmouth. He has decent acceleration and pace, good stamina, and some decent mental stats too. Can cross the ball at a 10. This level at a 10 is pretty good. Passing decent, tackling decent. Really, I needed that right back position filled as soon as possible, and Nico was the best option. Moving on, Sana. Now, I might be pronouncing this wrong, but this is potentially another amazing transfer at the same level as Alessandro Del Piero. And you might think I'm being a bit over the top of this, but look at this kid. He's only 23 years old, which is still relatively young in footballing terms. Still got a while to hit his peak, so in the next 4 years I could see some improvement from this player, especially if he stays. So he's only on a 2-year contract at first, 2.3k a week. Isn't bad for a player of his stature. He can play in central midfield or as an advanced playmaker, so we'll see how he goes this season. I like that he's physical, he's got decent physical attributes. Nothing stands out as being amazing, but the great thing about this guy is just good all round. Like, every single attribute is decent. First touch, dribbling, crossing, corners, all of that's really good. Passing is the one I really like to see in a central midfielder. 13 passing, 14 technique, 13 composure. I don't know why he was on a free transfer, but I'm glad that he came to Portsmouth. He previously played for Braga in the Portuguese Second League and had his start of the career at Sporting Lisbon. This player is probably going to be one of those guys who's a first team player. He's started one game and came on as a sub in 2 of the friendlies, and basically he's had an okay time. 6.7 average rating, isn't spectacular, but passing percentage 88%, shots on target 100%. So when he shoots, he's going to hit that target. I really think he'll improve as he gets to know the team. I sent this guy on a language training course, which is a new feature of Football Manager 2016. If you get a player in and he can't speak English, like Sana, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but anyway, Sana can't speak English. So the problem is, how is he going to get on with people in the club if he can't speak English? So I've sent him on an intensive language course, and I'm hoping that soon enough it will come up here that he can speak English to a good standard, or maybe even basic standard. So he's a player that I'm really looking forward to growing into the team. Next, we got 2 loan players in on the same day. Now the reason why is our squad was particularly short at the back. Eadling came in. He's a young Australian from Sunderland, so he's probably got some decent experience in the Premier Division. Yes, he hasn't played, but he's been training with a Premier Division squad. So, if we look at his coach report, at the moment he's a Sky Bet League 2 footballer. Jack Watmore, who, as I mentioned before, has huge potential, is out for a long time when you start the game. And unfortunately, Christian Burgess is going to be out for the first few games of the season with a twisted ankle. I need a few more people to cover that centre-back position. So I got Tom Beadling in, and I also got Cole Kapakawa? Not sure how to pronounce that one. Kapakawa, we'll say. Cole Kapakawa. So if we look, he can play left back or centre back, and if we look at the coach report, he is suited to Sky Bet League 1 football as a left back, so cover for Ender Stevens, but he can also be cover for the centre back position, even though he's not particularly that strong at centre back, and he can also cover the right back position, even though he's not particularly strong. A lot of potential with this one. Now the great thing about Cole is, again, 0 per week, 0 in wages. It's literally an easy free transfer just for the season. Tom Beadling is same, 0 per month. I'm paying 0 in wages. So again, I can't really lose with these signings. I put them both as rotation players because they might be getting some games when people are injured or people are tired. So those two guys are really here just for rotation, whereas Sana, Yunaris, Del Piero will be basically playing as much as I can make them. Alex Henschel, a bit of a rotation player slash first team player. So I'm really happy with how we filled out our squad. If we look at our squad now, it's looking a little bit stronger than it did in the past. A couple of quick things to note. Hornstrup, again, sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong for all those Portsmouth fans out there, but he was in our under 21 squad. He still is, but for most of the friendlies, I brought him up as a sub, and he got a few appearances in there. Also, if we have a quick look at Nigel Atangana, he again was in the under 21 squads, but I've brought him up just because when we played the under 21s in that first game of the season, he was their best player. So I thought, may as well bring him up, see how he does. And so far, in the non-competitive matches he's played for Portsmouth in those friendlies, he's scored a goal and got an assist. So even though he's still on the list for transfer, he might be one of those players who, even though he doesn't look great, he plays great. So I've kept him around and hoping that he can continue his form. He might be the 8th choice centre midfielder, but you never know how a season will go. He could be playing some games. Lastly, we talked about Adam McGurk, and we talked about how he's worth 350k. I did try to offer him out to clubs, and nobody was interested. I even put it down to 250k. Nobody was interested. So for now, I think I may as well try and keep him and see how he does when he's called upon. He will be a reserve for that right wing spot, second choice after Gary Roberts. Gareth Evans was the other winger that I said I wanted to get rid of. He is still on the list, valued at 140k. Every time I offer him out, I've even offered him out for 60k, nobody's interested. So let's hope that changes, because I really can't see him getting any game time. Third choice right midfielder, but we don't really play with right midfielders, we play attacking midfield right. Fourth choice attacking midfield right. Ninth choice attacking midfield left. It's unlikely that he's going to see much game time this season. So even though I've been trying to get rid of these players, I literally just can't get rid of them. So that's a quick review of our squad, our incoming transfers, and our outgoing transfers. The one thing I might have missed is we did send Adam May out on loan. He is a decent player with some potential, only 17 years old. We sent him out on loan to Dover, and with the expectation that when he's playing for Dover, he should be in the first team squad. Also, they agreed to pay part of his wages, which is useful, because really he was just going to be sitting in the under 21s getting some game time. He may as well actually have some competitive action with Dover. Let's hope they use him as much as they've said they're going to. So I'm really happy with this squad. Now, the most exciting thing that happened that I have not yet shown you is this. Brian Murphy has signed a new contract with Portsmouth. Not only has he signed a new contract, but he signed a contract till 2018. If you remember, his contract was expiring January 2016, so he signed a 2.5-year extension, and he signed for exactly the same wage he was already on. So I don't know what happened in those friendlies that made him happy, but whatever happened in those friendlies, it sure worked. So back to the friendlies. We already mentioned the under 21s. We beat them quite soundly, 3-1. And if we just have a quick look at what happened during that friendly, hopefully you'll get an idea of how easy it was. Matt Tubbs missed a penalty during that 3-1 win, but overall I think what we can say is that we had more shots, we had more possession, and we played very well indeed. If we look at our second match, it was against Bognor Regis, and we won 2-1. Gary Roberts and Ben Close getting a goal. It's interesting to see how well Ben Close has been playing in the pre-season. As we mentioned before, he's a player with a lot of potential. He might not be starting every game, but he's definitely got the potential to be a great player. So far, 4 appearances, 1 sub, a goal, an assist, a man of the match performance, and an average rating of 7.12. As we can see from the coach report, he might not be the best player, but he certainly is going to be the best young player in our squad. I have no doubt about that. In our third friendly, we played Havant and Waterlooville, H&W, and Gary Roberts again showed why he is the best player in our team. Now, there's always debate about who's the best player on any team, but Gary Roberts is the one who's going to be making the headlines, I think. 3 goals in his 5 preseason games, average rating of 7.06, man of the match, and he really has been on form. As you can see, our only loss of the preseason was against Middlesbrough, and that's not really a bad thing when you think about it, because they're a championship side. They should have been stuffing us, especially considering they're a championship side with some very good players. I mean, when you've got a striker that's worth £5 million, you know you've got a decent team. They also have the likes of Stuart Downing, Stuani, who are both excellent players. So even though we lost 2-0, I was actually kind of happy with the performance. The last friendly we had was against Gosport, and this was the only one where I was actually pretty unhappy with how we played. It was a 1-0 win, and as I mentioned before, Atangana, I still can't say that name, but Atangana scored a goal and proved that I was, maybe right in my managerial decision to pull him up from the under-21s. So hopefully he can do a few more sub appearances off the bench and score some goals for the Pompey. So that was how our pre-season went. Like I mentioned, overall I'm pretty happy. The loss against Middlesbrough was no big deal really. Gosport was a little bit worrying, but I'm very, very excited to start our league campaign against Dagenham and Redbridge. I think this could be a good game. I think we could win. And I think this is the start of Portsmouth's rise from the ashes. If you like the season preview, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see how the first month goes in Sky Bet League 2. Once again, thanks for watching. This is Gee Cee Gamer, and I hope you tune in for more Football Manager 2016 action.